Previously on Meerkat Manor, unlucky Shakespeare fell victim to the wrath of a vicious puff adder. He suffered 2 venomous bites and has been fighting for his life ever since. And Shakespeare's unruly sister, Tosca, caused a commotion by giving birth, a privilege normally reserved for group leader, Flower. Meet the Whiskers. Flower, the leader of the group, Zaphod, her partner, Yossarian, with some social problems, Mozart, the caring one, Tosca, the rebellious one, courageous little Shakespeare, and the naughty kids. Welcome to Meerkat Manor. This 30-strong group of meerkats, called the Whiskers, are the masters of 3 square miles of the Kalahari Desert in South Africa. It's a tough place to live, but to these little guys, it's home, and they wouldn't have it any other way. This is their manor. Standing only 12 inches tall, they wouldn't last long out here alone. But by sticking together, they are the brave little kings of the Kalahari. What makes them unique is that they're part of a detailed 10-year study by Cambridge University biologists. Every detail of their intimate lives is being recorded 24 hours a day by our cameras. Shakespeare is suffering badly. It's been 4 days since he was bitten by a venomous puff adder, but the flesh-eating poison is still pumping through his body. He's very sick indeed, in great pain and partially paralyzed. Unable to feed for more than 2 days now, he's lost 1/3 of his body weight. If he doesn't eat soon, he's going to die. His 2 closest sisters, Mozart and Tosca, have gotten up early to look after their sick little brother. They're almost powerless to help, but what they can do is watch over him. And while poor Shakespeare summons the energy to go in search of food, his sisters resolutely stand by him. At last, with all the strength his little body can muster, this brave little meerkat sets off in search of food. It hasn't rained for 2 months, and with temperatures well over 100 degrees, the Kalahari pantry is looking bare. Most of the scorpions, lizards, and beetles that are meerkat delicacies are hiding deep underground and out of easy reach. This is a challenge Shakespeare could well do without. In his weakened state, he can do little more than scratch around on the surface. He needs to find food, and fast. Ant larvae are a meerkat favorite, but to reach them requires digging. Shakespeare has to settle for whatever he can find near the surface, but he's got a sticky problem just getting through the bushes. The ant larvae are just an hors d'oeuvre, and a chance find of a small beetle is hardly a main course. Back at the burrow, oblivious to Shakespeare's desperate search for food, the rest of the Whiskers have finally woken up and are busy with the housekeeping. While the subordinates get on with the chores, Flower and Zaphod take in a little rest and relaxation. Grooming reinforces their bond and helps get rid of itchy ticks and fleas. While the dominant pair is otherwise engaged, an interested onlooker is jealously eyeing the happy couple. Meet Yossarian, a meerkat with a nervous disposition. He's Zaphod's younger brother, and at one time, he was Flower's main man. That was before the fight, when Zaphod overthrew him and took his girl. Fate has never been very kind to Yossarian. He's always had bad luck with the ladies. It's believed that when he was a pup, he was snatched by a bird of prey who dropped him on his head. That's probably how he got that big scar above his left eye. He's not your average meerkat. He's been known to cause trouble. With the pampering over, Flower leads the foraging party. As long as she keeps Eucerian under close watch, he can't get into too much trouble. While Mom's away, the babies stay close to the safety of the burrow with today's volunteer babysitters. It's just 3 days since they first emerged from the burrow, and they're becoming quite a handful. The babysitters are patient. It's in their best interest to look after the boss's pups. It won't be long before they're taken out on their foraging debut with the grown-ups. But for now, they can while away the hours working on those all-important skills they've been learning since they first saw daylight. Meerkats dig instinctively, but the scratches in the dirt they were making a few days ago are now starting to look like proper holes. Digging like this helps the pups build up their muscles and their stamina. By play fighting, Flower's pups are learning the skills they'll need to take on enemies. But more than anything, at this age, it's a lot of fun. And there's always a babysitter, like well-meaning Kinkajou, to make sure things don't get out of hand. As long as there's only one set of young pups at a time, there are plenty of resources to be shared, even during the dry season when food is scarce. That's why Flower, the dominant female, will not allow any of her daughters to mate. Deep underground, there are even more pups, and they don't belong to Flower. It seems that Mozart has had a secret liaison with an unknown male, resulting in the birth of her first litter of 4 pups. Added to the 4 that her sister Tosca recently produced, there are now 8 more pups crowding the burrow. This means a lot of extra mouths to feed, and Flower is not happy about it. Flower's got a big decision to make. Should she kill the newborn pups to ensure her own litter gets preferential treatment, or should she show tolerance to her daughters and grandchildren? The guards posted at the burrow entrance wouldn't dare stop her, whatever her decision. As she slips back from foraging, and with the new moms away supposedly helping Shakespeare, this is the perfect opportunity for Granny Flower to eliminate the new arrivals. Will they ever see the light of day? Unaware of the threat to their babies, Tosca and Mozart are still escorting Shakespeare as he tries to build up his strength after the puff adder attack. But they seem to have gotten sidetracked by the prospect of a good lunch, and Shakespeare has wandered off alone. He's a tiny meerkat in a big landscape. But undeterred by his solitude and a very painful leg, he soldiers on alone. Unfortunately, he's got some unwanted company. Without any sentries to watch out for him, he's in trouble. Out in the bush today, there seems to be a hungry predator at every turn. A lone meerkat could easily be picked off. It looks as though his 2 absent-minded sisters have let him down. Looking out for Shakespeare and trying to find food for themselves was obviously too much to handle. Realizing their brother is nowhere in sight, they need to act fast. Eagle-eyed Tosca finally spots him in the distance. They're gonna have to be quick or they'll lose sight of him. Tosca gets there first. With safety in numbers, there'll be no easy pickings today. Time for some spontaneous grooming while Mozart keeps guard, as she should have been doing all day. All the running around has made Shakespeare's legs swell up, but at least he's got a full stomach. With the grooming over, they head off in search of the rest of the foraging group. The girls certainly are relieved to have found their brother all in one piece. And he's relieved to be reunited with them, too. Closer to home, the main foraging party has been hard at work, and with temperatures over 100 degrees by mid-afternoon, it's time for a siesta. Everyone heads for the shade of the trees, where the sand can be 40 degrees cooler than in the sun. All the animals in the Kalahari are waiting for the rains. Even the armored-plated tortoise is heading for cover. The Whiskers meerkats lie on their bellies on the refreshingly cool sand. Their fur is such a good conductor of heat. It lets them chill out without sweating and losing vital water. Flower is back with the sleeping foragers, but is she lying on a full stomach? Even though it's nap time, there's always a lookout on duty. Daisy is adopting a rather relaxed approach, but she's still vigilant. With no threats in view, she can relax and dream of the cooling rains. The siesta's over all too quickly, and it's soon time to start foraging again. Flower is bulldozing her way through the Kalahari. Meerkats can shift their own body weight in sand every 20 seconds. Because they lose about 5% of their body weight overnight and burn vast amounts of energy regulating their body temperature, they need to eat a lot. Adults catch up to 30 items of prey every hour. This constant foraging reaps rewards. Today, there are a few choice treats from the subterranean snack shop. The boss is happily digging into a massive mouthful of millipede. As night falls, all of the foraging meerkats return to the safety of the burrow. Tosca and Mozart have made the long trek back from the edge of the territory, blissfully unaware that their heroic little brother might not be the only meerkat that they've lost today. Shakespeare is the last meerkat to go to bed. Thanks to his sisters, he's made the first steps on a long road to recovery. After a tiring journey on his bad leg, all he needs now is a good night's sleep. At sunrise, it's business as usual at the Whiskers burrow. The guards are posted, and Mozart and Tosca have spent a cozy night looking after their litters. The foraging group has already set out into the bush. Zaphod's obsessively scent-marking the Whiskers' territory. As the lord of the manor, this is one of his most important jobs. Close by, Yossarian is the first to find breakfast. When he's almost prepared to eat it, Zaphod can't resist nipping in and stealing it right from under his nose. Poor old Yossarian is too nervous to fight for it. As if adding insult to injury, Zaphod doesn't even bother eating it and leaves it for one of the young males, Pazzo. As Eucerian looks on, there's one final insult. Pozzo lets it go. This is really rubbing salt into the open wound. Humiliated by his brother, Eucerian heads for home. From the shadows of the burrow, some tiny figures emerge. Granny Flower has obviously decided to spare the lives of Tosca and Mozart's pups, and earlier in the day was just checking that they were okay. By the time he gets back to the burrow, Eucerian's anxiety gets the better of him. He's very agitated. Perhaps he's seen a predator and senses a threat. He starts searching through the deep complex of tunnels with over 30 entrances. Finally, he finds what he's looking for: the pups. Unbeknown to everyone else in the gang, he seems desperate to save the babies from an unknown danger, but what he's doing is reckless. His plan is to move all the young meerkats to a new burrow. But with the rest of the group out foraging, he'll need to enlist the help of the babysitters to pick up and move the 8 helpless little bundles. He carefully places the youngsters around the burrow entrance in front of the babysitters who are taking care of Flower's pups. It's a shocking sight. Meerkat pups aren't normally brought above ground until they're at least 3 weeks old. Bringing them out from the safety of the burrow at this age could be disastrous. Things start to spiral out of control. With pups scattered all over the place, the babysitters are confused and panic-stricken. Eucerian patiently waits for them to follow. The poor babysitters can't decide whether they should stay with Flower's pups, which have been their priority all day, or try to save their tiny relatives. The problem is that nobody's picking them up. Even young mom, Tosca, doesn't know which way to turn. And leaves her own pup lying in the dirt. The rest of the pups aren't faring much better. At this age, the new pups are extremely vulnerable to the intense desert heat, and getting trampled isn't helping. They could also be picked off at any moment by an opportunistic predator, especially when none of the adults are concentrating on who should be on guard. Being blind, they've got no chance of finding their way back to the burrow on their own. All Eucerian does is sit and watch as his tiny relatives fight for their lives. In the chaos, the tiny and almost blind pup that Tosca left behind is separated from the group. It's been abandoned, and the clock is ticking. Helpless and alone on the baking sand, it hardly stands a chance. In the next episode of Meerkat Manor, find out if Eucerian pulls off a successful burrow move, or if it ends in tragedy.